Okay. I have three vectors, R, S, and T, right? Represented here as three arrows, R, S, and T. The question asks you to find the vector OB. Now, O is here and B is here. And obviously, there's no arrow there. There's no vector. So let's just draw it in, okay? That's what we're meant to do. Let's just shove it in there. So OB would look like this with a little arrowhead at B. Okay? That's the first step. Just draw the vector that's missing. Hopefully you can notice that I have created two triangles. Okay? One that involves R and S. Let's look at this one I'm coloring in red. Okay? We have learned vector addition and vector graphing, I guess, or drawing. Right? If it's tip to tail, then it makes sense as an addition, right? So R, the vector R plus vector S, right, is this three-sided triangle. Do you remember we're doing this? So that means that this line OB is the, what did we call it? Starts with an R, which is confusing because I already have R on the page. OB is the resultant vector. Okay, OB is the resultant vector. OB is the resultant vector, which simply means, in fact, that the answer to this question is R plus S. Okay, so the vector OB equals R plus S. Because it creates that closed loop, that closed triangle loop. If you remember in the iMaths exercises, we were making those triangles, right? Do I need to remind you how that worked? I think you're okay. Okay, so if you write R plus S in here, it will be correct. Now, I wasn't able, obviously, to do vector notation inside these boxes, so just write the letters. Okay, so that's an easy one to start with. Let's look at the next one, okay? CA. CA. Well, where's C? C is down here and A is up there. But we're starting at C and we're going to A. Okay, we're starting at C, we're going to A. So a vector is pointing upwards and to the left. Upwards and to the left. So what does that mean? Well, I have another closed loop. If I draw this in a red triangle, I have another closed three-sided loop, right? But is CA a resultant vector as well? Well, unfortunately, it's not so easy as the previous one. If this arrowhead, okay, if this arrowhead was pointing downwards, that would be correct. Okay, we could write that as S plus T, because remember, tip to tail. Tip was tip and there's a tail. And we go from the beginning to here. So that would be S plus T. But direction really matters a lot in vectors. And we're actually pointing in this direction. Okay, we're pointing in this direction. So what does that mean? If I was pointing the T in this direction and pointing the S in the opposite direction to what it is, then I have a correct vector triangle, right? The three-sided tip-to-tail loop. That is very important when trying to draw a resultant vector. Okay? But they're not pointing that direction. The original ones are pointing down and to the right, right? Down to the right. But what did we learn yesterday? How can I reverse the direction of a vector? What did we learn yesterday? To change the direction of a vector to the opposite direction?
You have to make a negative or something?
Yeah, exactly. You just make it a minus, okay? So instead of adding S and T, okay, instead of adding S and T, we can think of it as adding the negatives of S and T, okay? think of it as adding the negatives of s and t. So minus s plus minus t, which is the same as saying minus s minus t, like that. Right, so this is like, oof, this is pretty hard. But I have recorded that step by step. I'm going to try and write it up for you, okay? So give those one-star questions a go, and it does definitely help you to copy down the diagrams onto paper, okay? And draw in these lines like I have done. So copy down this first diagram, OC. I'm going to keep that there, that line, all right? And then I want you to try to figure out what the vector OC could be, okay, based on these three, R, S, and T. All right, and try to enter it.
Estimate that, right?
Sorry?
You're supposed to guess what it is, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. It's based on just these letters. There's no numbers, right? There's no magnitude in these ones. There's no coordinates. It's just based on the drawings. It's very different to anything we've ever done before. Because, like I said, there's no numbers at all. It's just based on the arrows. That's why I said it's like doing it maths with arrows. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. Okay. So